welcome back. The very astute of you that, have watched every single episode, to all the minutes from start to finish. You know, those that I have not managed to make fall asleep by my voice will probably notice that I am not in a position where I was when I finished the last video. What I said was I will do the drive back to the base. Yeah. I will do the drive back to base off camera just to make sure that that's 15 minutes, 20 minutes is not just the start of the video, but have something more interesting, or at least what I think is more interesting, as like the start of this video. So we are currently back at base. We have the rover, we unpacked everything. I had to install some more magnetic plates just to bring every single bit of scrap back to base. I haven't made the full inventorization yet because I just got back basically and made sure that everything around the base was fine. Here we have one of the rovers. There's still one left out there. Here we have the second rover that we brought back. I removed the drills at the front because I can rebuild the drills. That's at least one of the only functional blocks I can rebuild. We still have to take over this grid somehow. We'll work on that later. Then we brought back a sci-fi, I think it's a sci-fi? Yeah, it's a sci-fi large atmospheric thruster. And then we have one over here. We have one of these sci-fi atmospheric thrusters small on the ground. Then we have this one. We can take the drills of this one as well, just to make it a little bit more manageable. Could have done that when transporting. Yeah, this will survive. Yeah. Alright, let's move this ion thruster somewhere else. We'll use this much later. We'll get to that when we actually can get to space. Which will take quite a while, but it's fine. Let's just dump some of our materials back in the base. And let's move this ion thruster out of the way. There we go. So the plan for today is twofold. First plan that I have is build a vehicle that can build our atmospheric thruster vehicle, or atmospheric partially vehicle. We're going to use some hydrogen thrusters for some of these vehicles as well. That's the first part. The second part is use this vehicle to start building at least the first part of our atmospheric vehicle. So what we have to do to make this vehicle, let's not fall in this hole again. Let's not move this. So let's see, we have some components over here. This nice and burning vehicle. We have a lot of hydrogen thruster components on this one. But then we have the two atmospheric thrusters on this one and on this side. So that's already 6 atmospheric thrusters in total, of which we're going to use at least 2 or 4 for main lift. I might even switch it to 6. I have not yet decided, because then I can use this one for forward momentum, and then we can use the small bit of atmospheric thrusters in every direction. Okay. Then we can use the little bit that we have on this one. So if we hook this off, park it, and check around. This one has 4 big ones and 2 small ones. So I think in total we have at least 5, which would be enough for the small bit of movement we can do left and right in case we run out of hydrogen. We need to have a backup plan in case we run out of hydrogen somewhere during any mission. So in this sense, what we have now, let me just show block and terminal, otherwise I'm going to have issues with that later. We're going to take this ship quite a bit apart. I think we're just gonna start anew because this has so much filler. Yeah, but we do need, do we need the oxygen tank? We could use the oxygen tank. We do need this one though, so we might take it half apart. And what we're gonna do is first build the vehicle that can move stuff around. Then we're gonna strip this as far as we can to like the bare basics. So we're gonna take off all the steel parts, all these blaster edges. We're gonna take off everything that is not necessary to keep this up plane, or to at least keep it intact. And we might do some remodeling afterwards, but first off we need to make sure that we can get every single useful part out of this as much as we can, because we need to turn this thing into a hauler. And first thing we need to do that is turn these downwards. Now I can't do that by hand because my tiny bitty hands are, not that strong. So a way to do this is by building, I think Splitsy called it a forklift, and it's basically in his mind a vehicle that can pick up stuff, rotate it around, and place it. Normally when you do this, you just, grind one of these away and you just build it somewhere else. We can't do that because our arms are crippled. It's fine, but we can't, build these things. So we have to make do with other ways of approaching this. And the way we're going to do it is by building a small vehicle. And with this we're going to need at least a lot of steel plates. We're not going to turn the auto builder on, the auto repairer for the base at the moment, because then it's going to use all of our materials and we won't have anything to use it with. So we're going to build a plateau that's at least a little bit longer. We need a counterpoint, so to speak. There's a few things that we can do to improve this vehicle, but we'll get to that later. Now we have a tier 2 builder now, or tier 2 welder, so this is going to be nice. I also switched to the golden tools. I don't know why. I thought it was fitting with the scavenger. This is a very upbeat music. Then we're gonna need the cockpit to be, I think, here. And we can probably get all the components from one of our miners that is half broken. And we're gonna have some blocks on this side. We're gonna have all the weight of this vehicle in the back. And the reason why is because we're gonna lift up quite some heavy materials. So we want to make sure that we don't have like our cockpit all the way in the front. Then we're going to have a hinge at the back. Is that only a hinge part? I don't know why that... Okay. Okay, I guess I went the wrong way. So we'll build a hinge. I have to think about every time to go back and grab materials first. Okay, I need more motors. Can I build motors at the moment? Do I have nickel in any of the production? I'm unsure. I probably don't have a way to get nickel either. I don't want to destroy anything that I can't rebuild, so I have to be a bit careful with what I want to take apart. I think one of the things we're going to do after we build the atmospheric vehicle, we're also going to build a mining rover. Because that way we can at least get some of the components we're gonna need. We do need some motors. This only has 8. This is 10. This is none. Rosif. This is 10. Sure, we'll snoop them from this. This is none. This is none. Alright, those are very broken. Only one motor. We're just gonna snoop it from somewhere. This is a 90. We can take them off here and place them back later on. We just need this vehicle. So for now, we're just gonna do it like this. Then, on top of this, we're gonna need... let's see, where is it? There. Can I move this around now that it's not powered? It doesn't wanna. Maybe if I attach something to it. Come on. Perfection. Alright. Components added. Boop. Motors and motors. I know. Might as well just dump everything in there. And then take out when I need it. The auto repair is off, so it won't use the motors. It will be the first thing it would use otherwise. I need some steel though. I'm a dummy. Let's just get 100s again. Alright. And what we're gonna do is, I think we're gonna go for 3 long. Wait. Is it only one? And a between part. Huh? So what I'm gonna go for is basically just a system that moves this forward, that is possible to move this forward, and lift it up. That's at least the base concept of it. I'm gonna hook it up with some small batteries on the back. I might even hook it up with some small batteries at the back and one large battery to the side, just so it has some counterweight. I'm unsure if I have enough power cells for it though, but we'll see that when we get to it. I don't know if all those components are still back at the other base. It might be, yeah. But I do have one large battery, which we, I think, can snoop from one of these. I think the last time I removed a battery from this one, it half broke. I got very annoyed by that. Well, let's at least take this apart. We need this away. We don't need this. Alright, let's then take apart this.
Energy low.
Is this just LCD screen? Yep. Alright, we might as well just take that apart. We can build those. Like, we want to save everything that we cannot build. So everything that is permanently broken, we want to just save. Here we can also see the magnesium, iron, and silicon in the ground. There are perhaps other materials that we're going to use later. And one of the ways we can do that is put a ore detector on this rover as well, that we can turn on or off, just so we can find the nickel necessary to make motors, because motors are gonna become quite annoying to find. Let's see, this one was broken, and that one is also... Was this the one that I unhooked? No, it's... I could really use that one. But I'm afraid that if I take this apart now, it will break. Do I have one other large small grid battery around the base somewhere? I have so many components that after I built the little forklift truck, I am going to build a warehouse of some sorts, or like a scrapyard, to divide everything that I have into like categories: small grid, large grid. I'm unsure if I'm gonna do that on stream or on video or off video, just because it might be a little bit boring to watch. I am unsure. I'm gonna debate that later. For now, we're just gonna need this vehicle. Yeah, it's 16 power cells that I can't get. I really want a large battery on this to have counterbalance. But first, let's just place the cockpit. Let's just work with what we have for now. So we're gonna place a cockpit. Gonna place on the left side because I'm used to that. Need some more bulletproof glass. And I'm probably gonna scream for power cells every time. Yep. Okay. Then we're gonna need some merge blocks, because now we're gonna attach these batteries down here. So we're gonna have this one there, and we're gonna see if I can line them up a little bit better, just so they look snazzy. There we go. Then once it has power, we're gonna attach a piston and gonna give it some wheels. Okay, go that way. Yes. Okay, now it has power for at least a foreseeable future. We're gonna put a connector on it as well later on, just to make sure that we can repower it at any point. Where this connector is going to be attached is going to be anyone's guess. I don't know myself yet. Look at this. This is a very expensive looking drill. It's so extra. Let's see. Let them in that direction. Now, like I've said before in previous episodes, the reason why I like this this mod, or this scenario, or whatever you would call this Scrapyard survival, why I like it so much in comparison to base game, is one, it lends itself to be played as single player a lot better. Because with, you know, when you just play standard building mode, when you build a base, you've automated it. You've got some drones that are auto mining for you, and you've set that up. That's endgame. Now, to start off in this game, you might have like a little bit of a learning curve, but once you get a little bit into it, it's decently easy. Oh, one sec. But when you, at some point you don't really know what you want to do. So you're gonna hit like a point where you don't know really what to do anymore, because, you know, you have no friends. No, you just think like, what can I do? Like, what is there to do? Unless you have friends. With this, I find that this game mode is just very nice and cozy, in my opinion. It just makes the game a little bit more, you know, you're left to your own devices. You have to explore around, and everything you make feels like you really worked for it. Like it feels very, not rewarding, but like you've accomplished something when you finally get something to work. And especially because you can't build the bigger items, you have to move them around somehow. So like these hydrogen tanks that you can't move by hand, you need to build something by hand that will move that later on. You can't just place it, and that's what I think makes this game mode feel a lot more special. Let's see, can I... There we go. I forgot to hit the components list. So what we're currently going for is a small vehicle, 4 wheels, with a lifting arm, with 2 rotors and a hinge, and a magnetic plate at the end. And what we're going to use to steer this thing, or to control this thing, is something called a park programming. I will get to that in a bit, because I will walk through it once I'm working with it. It's been a while since I've played Space Engineer, so it might take me a while to realize how it was done, but I will try to do my best to explain what I'm doing when I'm going through it. Last time I used 3x3 wheels. Do I want to use 5x5 wheels this time? To be a little bit more stationary. They do look dope, though. But then I cannot get close to the ground as easy. You don't want to build it too high up. But I can adjust the wheel height. I will do the wheel height thing. Yeah, I'm gonna build the 3x3s. I'm gonna go out my comfort zone and build this thing a little bit different than I have done before. And watch me go back on my decisions later. The thing is, though, that you have to build in a specific way that you are able to lift things. That's sounds a bit... Yeah, of course, that's how you do it, but I've gotten into the issues when building this that I went through like 7 iterations of how to lift something, and I finally found that this method, which was lifted from someone else or inspired by someone else, eventually became like the easiest way to do it. How much power is in this? It is powered for 20 hours. Oh, that's fine. So, in the meantime, when I was walking around and moving all the stuff around the base, I've also fixed some parts of the base. Now it's airtight. Doesn't really have a function on this planet since there's 80% atmosphere and everything is breathable. But sure. Do I want smaller wheels at the front? Not that small. Like 3x3s? I kind of want 5x5s. But I can use the short suspension just to have like a larger wheelbase at the back and shorter at the front. Sure. Okay. Alright. Not too conservative with our components. Now that we're finally able to build some stuff. Right. Let's see. Let's remove the piston again. We don't need it anymore. There. Now we're standing on wheels. Can I lift this in any way? Nope. Right. Then what we're going to do is we're going to do the old switcheroo. No, I can actually do it without. I can just do it the simple way. I don't have to build up that high. I can just build it up here. Build a piston. Aim it down. And just activate it. Ooh, that's very close. I'm not sure if the wheels will grab to this. Yeah, this might be a case of I have to reinstall that, or reinstall a second piston. Let's see. Yeah, it's still balanced. This needs just some blocks on here and here. Okay. Will this wheel build? That's the big question right now. I need a big suspension at the back. No. Wow. Yeah, see, that's what I thought. No wheel attached. It's fine. Well, we can do that later. It will actually make it easier if we just build the suspension first. At least comparative to what I otherwise would have had to do. Yeah, I thought so. This one has the same issue. Okay. Alright. Now we're gonna remove the piston. We're actually gonna move it down because now we're gonna land otherwise on the suspension. You never know how certain blocks react when you hit the ground too hard. Okay. Now we can remove the piston. Remove the blocks. And now we're gonna put a block there. Put a piston there. Sure, we're gonna build it there. If you wanna be like that. Okay. There's still new stuff spawning in the distance. MES wreckage is still off. So currently the only thing that's on is the standard spawning for this scenario, the scrapyard. There we go, that should be enough to spawn the wheels, right? Let's see. Yes. Then this should definitely be easy. And done. And... wait, I used the wrong suspension for this. I just noticed. You dummy. I had to use the off-road short suspension. Like I've stated before, I am not a smart man. I just pretend to do so sometimes. Or pretend to am one sometimes. Alright. Wheels. Now, the thing with this vehicle is that it does require a lot of strength in its wheels suspensions, but it doesn't require a whole lot of height. So we want to build it, get it a little bit closer to the ground. Let's just start with height offset 20 centimeters. 10 maybe even. 0. We're gonna start with 0 and see how high we are. Don't know why it didn't go to nice straight numbers. Yeah, that's still a block off the ground. I do have to remember though one thing, and that is to set the strength up high, because this vehicle will have to carry quite heavy loads. So if you're looking around like these, it has to carry this, it has to carry this thing, it has to carry, so it will be able to carry it at this distance from its wheelbase, which means that these wheel suspension strengths has to be quite high. These back ones don't really matter that much about that. The height does matter, but let's just set the height first up to 50, otherwise it won't be a nice round number. Height of sets, back to 50, and then up to 10. There we go. So now it's a nice low vehicle. We'll set these up to like 14%. We don't need that much strength for this one, these ones, because the backside won't carry the heaviest burden, so to speak. So maybe sometimes when I'm lifting too fast, that's possible. I might actually place one more piston on this. I just need the distance to cover the... when they're fully stretched, they have to be further than this. But when they're fully linked in, even with the extra hinge, it's gonna have a rotor hinge, rotor magnetic plate. And that magnetic plate kind of wants to be not attached to the rest of the vehicle. So I might, you know, make this actually quite long. Let's see. Let's make this stand off a little bit, otherwise the piston might be attached to the floor plate and not the rest of the arm. Alright, so if I attach the parts of it now, yeah, it might not be correct. This might be correct. This will be very long, longer than whatever forklift I've ever made, so this is going to be interesting. But if I made it correctly, and I'm going to add another part to it, that's going to make it a lot easier. We'll get to that as well.
Energy low.
Yeah, energy low, energy low. I know. That's now it looks more like a cannon of some sorts, but we're gonna turn the steering off for those two in the front. And the reason why is because we're gonna move it like a forklift truck. So like if we steer to the left, we really want to like pivot around our front wheels. That will become, that's logical probably to everyone who who has ever driven a forklift truck. But we'll get to that as well. Alright, I see already that we have to, you know, like share one inertia. What's that again? I had a name. Let's just start calling the... This would be shoulder. These pistons need to be grouped. Pistons. Let's call this forklift. Forklift. It's not gonna have a forklift, but it's fine. Forklift pistons. I don't know why. Oh, this battery is called something else. Let's just group the batteries as batteries. Save. Don't show the blocks. The wheels. Don't show the blocks. Cockpit. Don't show the blocks. Oh, inventory screen. No, terminal. There we go. We don't need that as well. No, that's not necessary either. And that's not necessary either. Then, what we're gonna do now is we're gonna attach the rotor hinge rotor. It's been a while since this is, takes a bit of a time. Rotor hinge rotor. Yeah, that's normal. This happens to the best of us. Then we're gonna have the rotor parts, that part of the hinge, this part of the hinge. Let's hope we have all the components for that. Beautiful. We're nearing a finished little forklift truck. I've managed to break one of these due to the physics engine bugs I've mentioned earlier. Like, they just went crazy. Let's see. No, the other way. Okay, and then we're gonna put one single magnetic plate at the end. Now, the way this functions, we need to install a... First we're gonna share inertia with all of these, because otherwise we're gonna become mad annoyed real quick. So the hinge, let's just piston, rotor, 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 shoulder, hinge, and hinge. And where's that thing? One of these doesn't do that. Where is that? There's usually a button that was like share inertia. I don't remember how to do that though. I thought that was just an option here. RS placement, rotor lock? No, no, no. Wait. That's interesting. Is it gone? Like, why is that gone? Is it just not necessary anymore? I mean, it's still wobbling like crazy, so it should be. Is there something I'm missing? Do I have to group them up first or something? I mean, I have to group them up anyway. Okay. Interesting. Alright, let's just first install the... do I have the remote control as a block I can make? Yes. That makes my life a little bit easier. So I'm going to reserve this part for a battery if I ever get one. And I'm going to place a remote control here. And we're going to get one of the programmable blocks we have strewn about our base. Because I got a bit, you know... I was like, oh, if I'm gonna take my time moving stuff around from the other base, I might as well just bring all the materials that I can find. And I brought back all the small components from the other base as well, just to find where I dropped them. Here we go. So you can see we brought all the little atmospheric flat D-shaped thrusters. That's 4 of them. At least should be 4 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have 4 of those. But what I'm looking for right now... No, not the broadcast controller. There we go. A programmable block. What we're going to do with set programmable block is we are going to make a park crane. Now, can you turn around a little bit? Thank you. That was not the direction I wanted you to turn, but okay. Please don't. You're moving in the correct direction, so nice. Movement sometimes in this game still is okay. Let's just use the thrusters then. There we go. Let's see, do we still have the components for this? Flag. Nope. Missing one construction comp and one motor. Okay. Now, let's just start with... oh, this is not mine yet. No, it's still by something else, right? Now it's mine. So, let's see. Let's go down. Edit. We're gonna browse scripts and park piston and rotor keybinds. We're gonna... Okay. Now, warning PB not accepted. Yay. I want to check them. Create a group called Park containing all the ship controllers, motors, pistons, and suspensions you want this script to control. So, first off, you can change the name of the group at the beginning of the script. It's fine. We're just going to call it Park. So, what they mean with controllers, they mean this remote control. So, you want this remote control together with all the moving parts you're going to use in this build. It's like this and this hinge. The rest is all safe. That's why I also removed all the other extra parts. We're going to call this Park. Just as a group. And what we're going to do with this is we're going to recompile. And recompile. Controller remote control is set to control thrusters. So we don't want to control thrusters, we don't want to control wheels. And I believe we also don't want to control gyros, but I'm not sure. I don't think. Warning, PB is not part of a faction. Alright, alright. I don't remember really. Let's just create a faction then. Let's call it it's called very survival. Let's call it nah, that's not November. Let's not do that. Nev. Let's not think about this too hard. Nevona's survival strategy. Okay. Great. What about now? Is it now part of a faction? There we go. It's trying to initialize Park, but we haven't set any parameters, so currently it's not much of an issue. So what we want to do is with Park, you can use your mouse and keyboard to move these cranes like you were controlling them by hand. Now the first thing I want to do though is check now if I can, since they're all in one, I can still not collect that. Normally you can say share Inertia Tensor. Now I am very weirded out by that, because normally you could do that. This is interesting. I've traced endless unsafe grids since I moved all of them. Does not pour independent. This is caused by some mod issue. This is completely vanilla. I've checked. Okay. Maybe it's let's check that out. Maybe they were correct. One of the things they posed as a potential issue was that you don't have a gyroscope, and I indeed do not have a gyroscope. Maybe the gyroscope counteracts the movements of the wobbly bits. I mean, that is indeed what a gyroscope is used for, so who knows, maybe that is indeed the issue. So let's install that right behind here. Now I have to get the welding pad. I mean, to be fair, that's what this game is all about, right? Making something, finding an issue, reimagining how to fix the issue, searching for answers. At least that's how I play this game. Right, let's get the components. Boop. Nope. Nice jump, bro. Thank you, bro. Okay. Now, please move. Is it because I'm not standing on a stable surface? I guess it is. Do you have overrides? Override controls. Well, it was turned off, but hopefully when I turn it on. I have before activated a gyroscope that had some overriding controls set up. And the moment I attached it to a vehicle, it just started to spin uncontrollably. Right, let's try this again. If I look at my parts now, and I just select all the wobbly bits, it still doesn't show up. The share and tensor does not appear in the pro. This is very interesting that for some reason it seems to be completely gone. But nobody's talking about it because everyone's probably playing Space Engineers 2. A lot of people 5 years ago were already complaining that it was already then a problem. Someone said I turned experimental mode on and off. It's back now. No. Okay. I can't turn this on or off. Probably only outside. That is quite annoying. But we'll keep building for now. If we don't grab anything, that won't be an issue. What I'll do after this video is I will look off camera for the issue for this, see if I can fix it, and if I can, the next video I will show a fix if I find one, and if it's just random, just restarting and that will solve it, then we'll focus it on that. For now, let's just focus on park, because this is quite annoying, but we can manage to get it to work. So, for park, what we want to do is we want to make sure that all of these hinges and everything has its own name so we can keep track of what we're doing. So this is going to be the elbow hinge, just so I can keep the hinges apart. This then is going to be, this rotor is going to be called like the, so that's the elbow, so this will be the upper, or yeah, upper rotor, and the lower rotor. You can call this the wrist as well. Maybe the finger. I'll call this the finger. I'll call this the wrist. Sounds very weird to have the wrist before the elbow, but it's fine. You know, it's fine. We'll call this magnetic plate the forklift's magnetic plates. What we now have to do is, with this, what we can do with this automation block, we can give, no, it's mostly in the other ones. So what we can do with this is we can go to custom data and it will show you this. And what will happen is provide the RPM of the part when the corresponding key is pressed. So every number that we change in here will make sure that any of the parts that are of this group, they will change direction, depending on what button I press. So I've already thought about how I want this to work. Now look at the wobbly bits when I jump on this. Let's see if I can jump on this. Since it has no inertia. Look at that. Wobbly bits. What I want to do is I want to have this move when I move my mouse up and down. That way when I park and I move it up and down, this will move up and down. Then what I want to do is not have my mouse when I move them side to side do anything, because that would be quite annoying in my opinion. Because the problem is that when you sometimes move your mouse up to move this up and down, this might move a little bit left and right, and if you move your mouse left and right, this might move up and down. That has its function in something else, but we're gonna work on that later. What I instead want to do is I want to have this hinge here move up and down when I press W and S. I want to have this, let's see, what was it again? I want to have this one move with Q and E, and this one with A and D, or the other way around, because this is A and D is earlier on my keyboard, so I want A and D for this one and Q and E for this one. Let's try that. So what I want to do is I want to go in here, and we're just going to sit down here for a bit. Now we have the shoulder hinge, that's the first one. If we go to custom data, we need to set the speed at which this will go up and down. So I believe the one correctly for that is going to be pitch up. It's going to be a rotor, so I want to move it at 5 degrees. When I move up, I want it to go up, and when I move down, I want it to go down. Let's see if I got the corresponding direction correctly. It might be that I turned the hinge upside down. So now what I want to do is have the remote control. Set it to maybe like 8 or something. No, I want it to have a spot where I can easily access it. I will set it to 4. And I'll just set this to control. Then I'm going to press 4. I have now switched to my remote control. And if this is now me moving my mouse up and down. Now it's a bit fast. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back into the menu. Go back to the shoulder hinge. Go back to custom data. Change this to like 3 and -3. Recompile the configuration. That way the new data is given, and when I press, I'm still in the control, so if I move now up, it moves it slower. You'll also see that if I move it very fast, my front wheels will fly into the air. It's fine. Later when you grab stuff, it's fine. As you can see, it's very wobbly. That's the reason why I wanted to have the share inertia on, but I guess I'll figure that out after I set this up. I don't think it will wobble that much that it will break, so should be fine. The same thing we're going to do now for the other parts of this. So the elbow hinge, we are going to set for A and D, which in this would be forwards and backwards. We're going to set the same standards for this one, and we're going to switch it to... It's a smaller bit, so I think I'm going to have this one to 5 and -5. Now, do remember though that since it's attached to a rotor, sometimes when you have rotated quite a bit during the setting of a type of block, it can turn like 180 degrees around, which would invert the directions you think it's going to move. So it doesn't matter with this one that much about which orientation it's going to be at currently. We changed that. Now, let's see, recompile. We are now in the control. So moving mouse up and down still does that. And when I press A and D, so now we can pick something up and we can move it around and we can like turn it a little bit. Now for the harder parts, because the speed for this is always hard to guess the first time. We're gonna have the wrist rotor first. That's the biggest one. Custom data. We're gonna have it to left and right, which is A and D. Left we're gonna put to... Left should be turning counterclockwise from my position, I think. We're gonna figure this out at least while we're doing it. I'm gonna put this to -5 and 5. It might be that I have to change this to 10, depending on what speed this currently will go at. Okay, we recompiled it. Nah, I think that's actually fine with speed wise. We can just tap it and it will move a slight bit. If it's too fast, we might be able to change it. But now we can just pick something up, move it around. Alright, and then the last one. That's actually fine that we got the speed. Is the direction for good as well? I would say that I want the direction the other way around. So we're gonna go back, change it around to 5 and -5. This will flip the direction in which both buttons work in terms of the turning around. And now it does what I want. So when I press now A, the rotor will turn counterclockwise from my position. And when I press D, it will go clockwise from my position. That way I will feel like left it's turning to the left and right it's turning to the right. Or tipping to the right and tipping to the left. Now we're going to do the same thing for the finger rotor. And we're going to go to custom data. And now we're going to do roll left and roll right, which are Q and E. And we're going to put it immediately to 5 and -5 in the hopes that this will work in exactly the same way. Recompile. And Q and E does now turn the last bit. Now the reason why we have all this is because sometimes you pick something up and you, let's see, you pick something up and you want to turn it a little bit like this, but you still want to turn it a little bit extra after you turn it downwards like this. Then you can use the Q and E buttons to move it around a little bit more. This specifically is important when you're moving stuff around that you have to attach to merge blocks or welding pads. That does make it quite hard to otherwise attach it correctly. Okay, we're going to turn steering off on the front wheels. And now what we're going to do is we're going to take the battery out of this part by testing how well this works, even without the inertia mod. Okay, it's very fast at the moment, the vehicle that we have. So let's turn the speed a little bit down. Let's just get the power down to 40. We don't need that much power with this. We just need We might actually also remove, like lower the max speed for this. Like we only want to move around our base very delicately. The grip at the back is quite low. Let's change that as well. Gonna put friction to like 75. Okay. And I have forgot about one thing. And this thing might be quite important. And this thing is that after all I've done, I forgot about a single part, which is the extension of the pistons. That is pretty dumb. Alright, to do the pistons, we already set up the group, and they're set up in this entire part. What we now have to do is we have to make these pistons move in a specific way. And the way we can do this is by going to custom data for a piston and use pitch up and pitch down, which is up and down as a button, and put this as pitch up is going to be 0.1 and pitch down as to minus 0.1. Let's see if I can copy this part and change this for every piston. Because otherwise these won't move that well. We all set them at the same speed so they move in unison. And I set it low because the combined speed of all of them together is still 0.6 in total. And let's see. I'm pressing the button, but for some reason it's not working. Oh, of course. I don't know why I'm moving left and right. Oh, that's the gyroscope that's doing that. Okay, it's not that button. What was yaw left and yaw right again? I had a button as well. Let's see. Oh, is it maybe no, it's not those. Should be for vehicles, but I guess that's not that much difference between both of them. So Q and E are at least a rule left and right. I can do it differently. Let's just change it to something else then. Let's change the custom data from this back to 0. And we're gonna put the oh, did I actually do that correctly? I'm just pressing the wrong buttons. Pitch up and pitch down. That would be normally up and down, right? These. Let's see. No, it's not those buttons. Interesting. Why are those buttons not working? Hmm. They are moving. Very slowly. Question is, are they moving with... No, they're not moving with that button. They're not moving with that button. Hmm. Let's put it in park. Ah, so they are moving with that. Okay. Okay, but they're not moving with that button, so let's change it to that button. The button I'm referring to currently is that... there was one that is space and C, but that would be normally this one. Oh, it is that one. Alright. So what we're going to do is we're going to change this to 0 and this to 0. And we're going to move, we're going to put up to 0.2 and down with minus 0.2. And we're going to copy this part. And we're going to do this for every piston. Okay. It's the good thing about checking everything and learning from your mistakes. Always learn from your mistakes, kids. Stay in school, eat your vegetables, don't do drugs. Except the good kinds. Oh wait, you didn't hear that from me. Oh wait, this video was not aimed towards kids, so that's fine. Let's recompile. Let's try this again. So we move it down by this. And we should... There we go. And now we have to do only the last bit of effort. And that is we have to set the magnetic plate as a group on our hotbar. What we have to do is we have to auto lock on and off and switch locks. Because now that we've attached it to it, as you can see, I've attached to it. What I can do is a few things. I can lift it up like it is, or I can get a little bit closer. Now the way I can get a little bit closer, let's try to lift it up a little bit. As you can see, it doesn't really like that. My hinge is currently quite stuck. So what you can do is put this torque a little bit higher. Now it has a little bit more force behind it. Then this one will have a little bit more force behind it. At some point, either it will lift it up, and as you can see, it's already bending a little bit. It will either lift it up or break. I think I can put this to... Yeah, let's just have it at maximum bendiness. Can I put it a little bit higher? No, this is as high as it gets. So, now it's attached. It's trying to lift it up. And what we're going to do now is we're going to detach this and see if it will keep lifting it up. There you go. So now we can go in here, lift it up a little bit higher. This is why we need the inertia stabilization. It will stop this swaying. This is exactly why I need that inertia stabilization. and then we can move it around. Now, currently it is working, but like I said, the inertia stabilization is the thing that I currently need to stop this swaying from going all over the place. This is actually the type of swaying that would make me destroy more things than I actually would solve. I'm gonna change these back to 2 because it's moving up and down quite a lot faster than I want to. This is already better. Then when we set something up on the ground, we can just put it to auto lock off, attach. And then we can turn auto lock on, and we can just move our pistons back into position. Move it down, and there you go. That is, in a nutshell, the vehicle that, if the inertia tensor works, we can use this to build our vehicle, or our, at least our vehicle that we can use to get eventually around this planet. Now, the second thing that we're going to need is we are going to need a way to get some fuel or some electricity back in this. And one way I can do this is hook up a connector here in the back. Now, I have to just think about where I'm going to put this connector. Maybe there's a spot that if I drive a little bit around. Let's just see if I move around a little bit. Oh. Smarty pants, don't drive into everything. It's still very fast. It sometimes has its good things, but for a forklift, that's maybe not the best. It's also very big. My last forklift was not this big, but I had some sway problems with it. Like my last forklift was that small that if I picked up something big, it would sometimes tip over. That's the thing I've currently looked forward as a problem to solve. So I'm gonna use it like this now. I think I'm gonna turn this connector here into a refueling station. I just have to find the correct height for it. Because this is still a free area, I'm gonna probably change this later. As in an area to... I think I'm gonna turn this area right here into the area that I'm gonna dump all the materials to turn it into the scrapyard, so to speak. We'll find that out later at least. But for now, we're gonna turn this into the recharging area. So let's remove this little bit of steel. We can just attach a connector to here because it wouldn't interfere with the hinge. We could actually put a... it's currently at 90 degrees. Let's move it halfway in between the working positions. We don't want it to go above 90 degrees. So let's see. It is currently at 50. So if we set the lower limit to 0, or maybe even 1 degrees, that way it will never go past its limit. And if it builds something behind it, it would never be able to hit the item that's behind it, because it will stop itself from hitting it. Then what we can do is do a janky thing that I've learned a long time ago. If you have a connector that is not lined up with big grid, so if you have a small grid connector that's not lined up with big grid, you can use a special strategy to make them connect nonetheless. And what you need for that is you need 2 hinges. This is small hinge? I thought it was just hinge, yeah. We just, there we go. We have hinge. Okay. Then we're gonna do this. Hey, look, a hinge. Right, before this explodes, let's just build it. Why does stuff always keep exploding on me? Am I that bad at this game? The answer is yes, but please. Let's turn this. Where's the percentage? I was looking for this one. Okay, there we go. Let's turn this up a little bit, just so we won't have explodies. Then we're gonna attach another. Okay, it doesn't want to do that yet, so let's put it a little bit up. Okay, round 2. There we go. Now we're going to build the connector. I think I have it set up in one of my menus. Yep, there we go. And we're going to put it in the middle. Have it like this. Attach it, build it. I'm surprised we still have all the components. This is just the motors that are the biggest issue. I'm probably going to look around for a large majority of steel or iron and nickel later, just to make sure that we have the materials necessary for it. Alright, let's move this down. Then we're going to attach another connector here. Then let's see if we still have the components to build that. Oh, damn. Nice. You need a lot of components for connectors. Especially big grid. And then we might be able to connect. Let's move that down. Let's also put the lower limit at 89. That way it will hover above it a little bit, but it's fine. And now we should be able to attach, and it can be recharged. Now we have 2 vehicles that both can be recharged. The only thing I'm currently thinking about is, do I want a different color for this? And the answer is yes, but what color do I want? I like the candy apple red maybe for this, to make it very easy to find. That is very red. And everything to do with the base we're gonna turn into just a standard color. Oh no. I think I was working with... Was not sci-fi color. What a very upbeat music. Candy apple red. Okay, it was not this one. Was it retro future? Nope. Also, what is that color? Clean armor? Nope. I was using a cleaner version. Was it plastic? Was it plastic? It was plastic. Alright. Good. Did I get every single color, every single wheel? Yeah. It's like driving with toy cars. Alright. And the plane is going to become a yellow color, just like the one we have right now. I think it's like in gold. Yeah, it's in gold. But I'm gonna make it yellow because I find gold always a little bit so shiny and lights just become so annoying. With vehicles like this, it becomes a little bit more matte, which, in my opinion, is a little bit nicer to look at, or to be around of. So that was at least the creation of our little vehicle that is going to help us build our next ship. This little thing, once I get the inertia stabilizers to work, we'll be able to grab parts of this ship, remove them from it, turn them around, and reattach them again, just so we can make them point downwards. That's what we're gonna do with this ship in general. We're gonna remove a lot of these medium cargo containers, probably. It all depends on what we're gonna use this for. And for the rest, I think that would be it for this episode, because we have done what we set out to do, and we are already an hour and 20 minutes further, because I suck at building vehicles, but that's fine. So, yeah. We have made some progress. Next time what I'm going to work with is we're going to start reassembling that plane, and we're going to try to get that in working condition. So what we're going to try to go for is switching all the atmospheric thrusters pointing downwards so we can lift heavy items. Then what we're going to do is try to make it in such a way that we can make it fly, and that we can connect it to the base, probably at the top of one of the hydrogen tanks, just so we can refuel it and recharge it at the base. And when we have done that, I think we're gonna work on a little storage space / scrapyard to drop all of our items off in the correct bins, and we're gonna be able to move it around with this here forklift truck. And when that is done, we're gonna probably scavenge around to see if we can already find we might even turn MES wreckage back on at that point, because we can explore faster with that vehicle, the flying vehicle. And we might be able to find a large grid atmospheric thruster vehicle parts, which we can then bring back to base and turn it into a large grid atmospheric thruster vehicle, just so we can finally get the big parts connected to each other so we can get into space. Now do remember, we might be able already have all the components to get to space in a large or in a small grid vehicle, but my objective is to make a ship that can function as a base, a large base in space, in one go. That is the idea for this challenge, which is a hard one, but I've managed to do it once before, so I think I could do it again. But at least that was it for this episode. If you liked it, then thank you for watching at least, and I will see you in the next episode. So have a good one, and a very good evening, night, day, or whatever. Bye.